AI is definitely the future, and search marketing is definitely a part of that. Stay tuned as we find out more about how AI and the future of search marketing are making changes.
Welcome to Ecommerce Revamped, where we break down the hottest trends, insider tips, and strategies shaping the future of e-commerce. Powered by Mevo, the engine behind seamless online stores. Now here are your hosts, Rob Stanley and Rick Wilson.
Welcome everybody to another great episode of Ecommerce Revamp. Rick is back in with us, and it's great to have him here. And we have a great guest today with an amazing topic. Definitely a lot to talk about. Today's topic again is AI and the future of search marketing. And let's bring into the studio Al, let's get you in here. How you doing, Al? Good to see you.
Hi guys. Hi Rob. Hi Rick. How are you?
Hey Al. So Al, one of the questions I want to get started with is, how is AI changing SEO today? Tell us what you've seen.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been. It's important for me to give a little bit of background about my SEO career. I've been doing this for about 2 decades, and because of my undergraduate degree, I had a degree in computer science. I had some awareness about AI early on, just from basic and principle and fundamentals of understanding AI. I have seen AI being implemented in search engines, in particular in Google search rankings over time, slowly. It's never been in a way where we experience it today with ChatGPT and other AI tools. It was but it was something that Google started implementing about a decade ago, where they started introducing their major core algorithm updates, and they stopped telling you what it was, because a lot of people in the SEO community would say Google is trying not to be transparent anymore, and that there was a truth to that, but I also think that they didn't know. They were just, the AI algorithm was kicking in more and more, and that's why it was the traditional search engine tactics, optimization tactics, they were not as useful. Fast forward to the world of Gen AI, ChatGPT, and Gemini. We can actually see that live now. You don't have to wait for Google to release a core update. And to answer your question, AI is impacting, most important than anything, search behaviors. It's not so much about how AI is optimizing, how you should be optimizing for search. The question a lot of marketers should be asking is that, what platforms are my consumers are starting discovering my products and services? And when ChatGPT first became public, I immediately saw that this could be not a Google killer, but this could really this could challenge Google's dominance in search, which is great. I think Google has too much as a search monopoly for a long time, I started using it more and more for my research, and nowadays it's actually both ChatGPT as well as my favorite search tool, Perplexity, are being used quite a bit as search engines. Not sure if that actually answered your question, but please have follow-ups.
Yeah. Let me ask you something here, Al. So I've had a very similar experience to you, right? So when you look at when ChatGPT 3 hit sort of public in November of 22, those of us who are kind of in the technology space were like, wow, this is huge. Mm-hmm. It was filled with so many inaccuracies and hallucinations at the time. We were like, this is huge, but it's not usable yet, but it will be soon, right? Sure. Now, fast forward 2.5 years, and I would definitely say for me, I now start with ChatGPT, sometimes, or even Gemini, but I start with an AI search first to get information. And I think the main reason for that is because, yes, Google's the dominant search engine, but web spam a combination of AdWords monetization and web spam ultimately ruined the web, in my personal opinion. And so Google went from being 10 high quality results to being this gamed system where the house always wins. The game is to pay Google to get paid attention to. Yeah. And you're just, and none of us have much time. So you spend all this time sorting through crud. And so my question to you is, do you think that ChatGPT and the likes, it doesn't have to be about ChatGPT, do you think the LLMs, Google's, everyone's, will be able to avoid the same fate? Or is this just, right now it's clever, but we're all going to figure out how to web spam the LLMs, and then we're going to be back to the same problem.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. For me, prophesizing hasn't been one of my things, but having been in the field long enough, have seen that, yes, at the beginning when Google had a very clean, search result pages, and now, as you mentioned, it's pretty crazy. We have a client that sells soccer equipment, and they're trying to rank for Nike soccer balls. If you put that in Google search right now, it's a mess. You don't know what is paid ad, what is organic, what is image. It looks like a little kid just like drew something, and that's a problem with Google. It's not so much about their algorithms, so much the search result pages. As of right now, I believe that when you're in a research mode, you should definitely bypass Google, the traditional search, and go to ChatGPT, or even use Google AI mode that they just released.
Gemini.
If it's available. Yeah, you don't even have to go Gemini. I think if you're using your personal Gmail, they haven't rolled it out to G Suites yet, but if you're using your personal Gmail, there's a tab called AI mode. You should actually be using that. There is a little bit of lag, so that's why sometimes I feel like the AI, depending how fast you want an answer, if there's thinking, then you want to rely on AI. But if something you already know, that you probably want to use the traditional SEO of Google. But yeah, I think the top of the funnel, all the way to the middle of the funnel right now, both ChatGPT and all these other AI tools, and like I said, my favorite Perplexity, are doing great. And the reason I keep bringing Perplexity, and this is important for your audience, they have a shopping feed. You should really look into it and submit your feed to it, because I was looking for a white feet jogging shoes, and that's black, and there's no way I can find what I want in Google without spending a lot of time. I was able to find in Perplexity, and since then I became an avid Perplexity user. And to address your question with spamming, I think there is opportunity for what you call spamming or over optimization, but I think the way AI goes about it, it's going to be less noticeable than you would see in Google, because sometimes Google would return to you some really bad search results. As far as the hallucination that you mentioned, I was actually a victim of that. I was an early adopter of AI search. I was looking for a particular palm tree that I can plant in my backyard that you cannot find here in California, you can find in Florida. And it gave me this nursery to go there. They will have it. I went there, and there was no nursery there. There was no nursery there. I think there was like a bar in McDonald's. So it just made things up. And so you got to be careful of that. It's getting better and better because it's opening up to web. There's all this API. There's this what's the saying, like a leapfrog from data learning, with the AI. So I think that the hallucinations are becoming less and less of a thing. Also introducing like AI agents, in many ways, Perplexity is an AI agent, right? That focuses on research. So I think those hallucinations are going to become less and less of a thing. Again, there will be room for over optimization, which you refer to as spamming, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, in fact, I would say what you're describing is actually similar to my experience. So I now start all my research with the LLMs, and it kind of depends on what I'm researching. I'll bounce between Gemini, Claude, and OpenAI. And then I still generally, when I'm at the shopping point, I'll go to either Amazon directly to the brand or to Google Shopping, right? Because the shopping there. But one comment I want to make, normally we don't kind of break the fourth wall here and talk about Miva specific things, but PayPal just announced a big partnership with Perplexity. So we are very close to having it so that if you use PayPal with a Miva store, you'll have a buy button right in Perplexity. And we expect an AI checkout to be pretty ubiquitous in the next 12 months. But without, again, taking us too off, there's weird things you got to solve for, right? So if Perplexity or anyone else or OpenAI, whoever serves up an AI result and you hit buy now, there's all these questions. What's the shipping price? Is it still in stock? So there's this whole behind the scenes thing that happens. People sort of imagine that commerce is just accepting money, and it's not that hard to accept money. I mean, there's still a lot to that too, but we see a lot of change coming. And I do think in the next year, you will see pretty ubiquitous in LLM or in bot purchasability across the board, and for Meta stores is part of that.
That's great news, and I love PayPal, by the way. So I'm a Gen Xer, so I haven't gone into the Venmo.
Me too.
Thing. You see, his
me three.
Yeah,
yeah. Al, let me ask you a quick question. E-commerce sellers, they are starting to really embrace AI. It's coming into play. We just talked about some of this right now. One of the things in the past, I mean, since all three of us go way back when it comes to e-commerce, one of the big things when I was building my store, my whole company and everything was backlinks, right? You got to have these backlinks. Are backlinks still critical or, something you need when it comes to the AI with SEO? Or is it kind of, that's more the Google search type thing?
The quick answer is yes and no. And I want to tell you why no first. Google needed links to understand context of your page because it didn't really truly understand what the page meant. So you basically, you say, hey, this page is about these keywords, and then Google looked at a backlink to verify that. And then it was also because of the page rank algorithm, which is kind of like irrelevant these days. So you don't actually need the link anymore, but you still need presence of your website in reputable websites. Highly reputable websites. I was reading an article from Barry Shores from Search Engine Roundtable that, like Perplexity, for example, is relying a lot on Reddit to answer questions. So, and I have seen, because I contribute content to Forbes, Business Council, Fast Company, I rank for certain key phrases and topics in LLMs, like enterprise SEO consultant, whatever, something like that. And just because I write about those stuff. So to answer your question, you don't need the links like as how you and I traditionally understood it from our learning, but you still need to have an external presence of your website because LLMs really gather data from various resources. The difference is that now you got to focus on really high authority websites that actually have real value. In the past, during the old school SEO, there was a lot of PBM websites, a lot of websites were just made for backlinking. They didn't have a lot of the values. They didn't have a lot of traffic. They didn't have a lot of following. But now it's different, So if you want to, so it's the link building has essentially changed to what we call digital PR, which you still have to do this off-page things, activities. But with a different approach and focus and KPI.
Would you describe that a couple questions on that subject? So like we've shifted internally from what you might call traditional top of funnel SEO strategy to more digital density. We want to be seen as the experts on a few topics. And is that the same idea here for the AI engines? Like you create, whether it's on Reddit or Quora or community forums or whatever, you become an authority, and you become that by having high quality content, right? I mean, just repeating crappy content doesn't make you an authority; it just makes you annoying. And do you think digital density is part of that model, like how you really get the LLMs to have an opinion about your perspective?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out if the density is a thing or not for LLMs, but I'm actually inclined to say that is very important as of right now, because I'm more, I notice we're doing better on certain topics than the other ones because of just my personal expertise. I blog more and stuff like that. So it's not a bad strategy to do that. But one thing I've noticed that it does really well with LLMs is that when you write the content that is truly quality, the quality content in the old SEO world meant something different. 1,000 words, keywords, meta tags, blah, 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 right? Unique. Then quality, because, and again, like I said earlier, because Google didn't truly understood the context of your content, but the LLMs do. That's what they were made to. That's all they do, right? So they understand your content and they know if it's valuable or not. And it's not so much about just English and grammar. It's about what do you provide? Is it valuable? And we did a quick test with a startup client of ours, and I asked him, hey, can we provide some unique data about that we can provide? And we blogged about it. We even did some off-page. And if you go in, I believe it was in ChatGPT and ask, and they're in the auto dealer space. Auto dealership consumption of AI, sometimes they're being referenced, the content's being referenced. So having thought leadership and having quality content that truly is quality, that has value, it doesn't have to be statistics all the time. This podcast could, in my opinion, is considered to be quality because it's actually unique. It's not a spawn from another content. You're not just doing the old school SEO thing, 2,000 words, a lot of keywords. It's actually add value. These are the type of strategic stuff that I'm recommending our clients to think about. Don't just say what your competitors say. So it's something unique. Don't get obsessed with them so much and get obsessed with the trends and jump onto the trends. You really try to put yourself as a true authority. Again, these are the stuff that we have talked about for 20 years, but now it's the time to actually do it because LLMs do understand context. Going back to density, that is more along with the concept of entity. It's not about keywords anymore. It's not even about it's more about topics and entities. So do you want to position yourself more as a platform for this kind of group of consumers or a wider one? But definitely my recommendation is that especially for smaller and medium-sized businesses, go with the lower hanging fruits, see what you're already good at and just own that space and then move up to the next level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Al, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, though, I'd like you to maybe talk a little bit about maybe some tools that e-commerce sellers could use to get noticed a little bit more by AI. We're going to call it AI because there's so many different platforms.
Sure.
We're going to talk about that right after this commercial break.
Ready to revamp your online store? Neva's e-commerce platform offers powerful tools and flexible solutions that grow with your business. From design to checkout, Neva has you covered. Don't just sell, stand out. Check out neva.com/podcast to start building your dream store today.
Be sure to head on over to neva.com/podcast. And we're going to have some really cool, exciting downloadables and a bunch of different reference things there. And plus, you will pretty soon be able to see past podcast episodes there coming up soon. We got Al on with us, and we're talking about AI and the future of search marketing. Right for the break, I was asking Al about maybe some tools that e-commerce sellers could use to kind of get noticed by the AI search engines. Al, what do you recommend?
Well, I'm still very much not fully sold on those so-called SEO tools that are AI only, just because I don't know really how they work. I'm coming from a traditional SEO into the modern SEO. I've been using Ahrefs and SEMrush a lot. SEMrush, or I think they call it SEMrush now, has added a lot of cool AI features, and I recommend anyone who has a business in the industry to have it. They have different tier packages, and it's an all-in-one type of tool. So it's not just for SEO. You can use it to post on social media. For SEM, there's a lot of good competitive market research. It has different tiers. So that is a solid tool that I use a lot. And again, I tested out some of these SEO AI tools. I think one was called Admin or whatever. I don't know how how they work. If it's just a simple API. So I'm still very reserved about the startups. I did use. There's a couple of cool tools that I've used. Jasper has been great for copywriting because you don't really have to keep training it. And the second thing is I've used Julius.ai a lot, and I think this happened actually in e-commerce where we had a lot of questions about, when you're focusing on one part of your e-commerce operation, but you see your sales are down. And I'm going to give you an example of what happened. Sometimes you cannot just look at your Google Analytics or any analytic platform you use to figure out why. In this particular case, it was our keyword rankings in SEMrush, just our visibility had increased, but our traffic and sales were down. It was just kind of really challenging to figure out what it was, and it turned out to be that the SEM expert in house was kind of over cannibalizing the branded ads. And that was really hard to understand by looking at Google Analytics. And we didn't have access to that client's Google ads, but that was the data we were able to retrieve from Julius.ai, we basically uploaded our Excel spreadsheet. It was like, hey, why is organic traffic down? It gave us a couple of scenarios, and the one that made sense was Google Ads. So Julius.ai is good for data analysis. Another thing that I want to really recommend everyone, and something I did, I went on Coursera and took a course on prompt engineering. If you learn how to prompt, you can do wonders. Like I've done audits on ChatGPT. I've done like really deep research. It's like you are an SEO expert. Use deep reasoning to do a content gap audit. It's like, wow, there's still a lot of stuff that you have to. You got to take with a grain of salt. A lot of stuff you have to like overlook, but just you learn how to prompt better and create custom GPTs and things like that.
It's like having a great intern. It's like having a really affordable intern who you can speak with at 24/7 at your leisure.
Yeah. Here comes my daughter. Even I told her not to come. It's her birthday, so she wants to say,
"Hi, happy birthday!"
All right, go.
Nice, very nice.
All right, you can say, I guess. All right, so
that's your expert right there. So
yeah,
he will definitely be your AI expert in about 4 years.
Exactly. No, that is true. That's true. So Al, why don't you?
She already corrects my English, so because English is my second as her first. Go to mommy. I'm busy. Okay.
So let's
sorry.
Focus over to no, it's okay. Maybe talk just a little bit about how some of the small brands can get a win in an AI search. Like, what do they need to do? We're talking about these tools, talking about these different things, digital density. A small brand, what's some of the basics they can do? And if you have any examples, I'd love to hear it.
Content is king. That is never going to go away. And we have a real example of proving case study to our e-commerce client of ours that they always neglected content. They had thousands of SKUs on the website, but they were always too cute about product descriptions and the content. And after months of preaching, you gotta add more content on this product pages, on these PDP pages, and not just for sake of SEO, for sake of users. I mean, if you look at Amazon pages, there's a lot of content on an Amazon product. I was listening to Jeff Bezos saying that we want our consumers to make informed decisions. So your PDP, in the world of e-commerce, is very important. You want to have both the informational and transactional content to be there. Maybe different positioning, maybe transaction above the fold, information below the fold, but focus on your PDP content for e-commerce and content in general. That's where, but unique content, quality content that matters, not just for sake of fluff.
And I think this actually ties really closely into what we were just saying about prompts. If you're an excellent prompt engineer, and don't let the word engineer scare you, here's actually how I write things all the time these days. I start with a sentence. Mm-hmm. I want to do this thing, and I don't even worry about the sentence. It's like a mental sentence in my head, and I start with the weakest sentence in the world, and I feed it to one of the engines, and it will either ask me questions or give me a reply. So in the case Al was referring to, if I was selling mufflers, I might say our average customer is someone who's never bought a muffler before. What would someone who's never bought a muffler before want to know? Please write it in 6th grade English. And you will get amazing, unique content that doesn't exist anywhere else. And then you play this game of ping pong with your prompts. And for example, in Niva, there is a AI connection with your OpenAI key where you can do all of this via prompts directly on your PDP. And you should absolutely be running all of your content through that, because it used to be, okay, I don't want to do this because I only sell 40 of this muffler per year and I don't want to hire someone to go write all this content. You don't have an excuse anymore.
Yeah. No, I was actually one of the reasons I'm really excited about I like to be more involved in the community. I'm really excited about how on top of things you guys are at Miva. We have another client that uses Salesforce, Commerce, whatever it's called,
Commerce Cloud,
Commerce Cloud, yeah. And they're and Salesforce is talking about agentic AI and stuff all the time, but I think it's more on the sales side. On the e-commerce side, we're still writing title segmented descriptions for them manually, or we use ChatGPT, but a plugin ChatGPT. But that thing is not, Shopify has it. It sounds like you guys have it, but they don't have it. So it's definitely something that I would just say, take advantage of all the AI features of the platform. See, Rob, it goes back to your question. A lot of tools are coming out with AI features. So, you guys are coming with your own AI features. SEMrush has its own AI features. There may or may not be a need for you buying an new AI tool. Just look at the tools that you have and see, are they do they have AI stuff at least on the roadmap and product roadmap, and kind of go from there and learn how to prompt. The toolbox can get quite expensive even for me, especially for small businesses. And next thing you know, you're just like, wow, I'm spending this much.
You've got all these tools.
Month.
It's just like streaming subscriptions.
Yes, exactly.
Keep an eye on it.
Exactly, got to keep an eye on it. But I really go. If I had to say, there's one thing that you should really focus on, is really have good quality content in the world of e-commerce. That matters a lot. Search engines, traditional search engines, is always like more content. The new search LLMs like content. Another thing that someone told me, who's actually an AI engineer, he said that as you interact more with AI, they also learn more about you. So basically, when you prompt, you're like, hey, my name is Al Sefati. I'm an SEO and SEM expert, whatever you want to say who you are. It learns from you. So you interacting with LLMs is also it's something that business owners should do. So another tip to them is hey, spend more time prompting and conversing with these LLMs so they can learn more about you and your business. Feeding data to them, dump, your non-private data into ChatGPT, ask for analysis or whatever tool you want to use, because that's how they learn. And the third thing that I've seen a lot of engineers talk about, having APIs available. So if you are let's say in terms of Miva, you have various APIs. So this LLM will learn more about to LLM. So this LLMs will learn more about Miva. So just interact more with AI, whether manually or through APIs. That's another good strategy. Be on top of this stuff. It's changing. It's not going back. It's exciting times, and it's a little bit painful because I had to let go of a lot of. We were very content writer heavy firm, and now we have maybe one guy. Yeah. So unfortunately, that will happen regardless. You can't fight it. Embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely. The AI genie is out of the bottle. And Rob, I assume we're coming up on time, but this is a fun little experiment. So go to ChatGPT, for everyone who's ever used it more than once, and you ask your window when you're logged in, based only on these chats here, describe what you know about me, and you will see. You'll either be amazed, scared, or you should be both, actually. Yeah. But it's a really interesting tool. But Al is correct. The AI genie is here. It is not going back into a bottle. There is no stopping it. And if you don't learn how to use it in your business, your competitors will, and they will use that as the edge to beat you. So you need to lean in and lean in hard. If you're just sort of kind of thinking you need an AI strategy, you're too late. You need to be there now.
Absolutely. And Al, speaking of that, love this, by the way, prompting, absolutely garbage in, garbage out when it comes to prompting. There's lots of free things out there for people to learn about prompting. But switching over, Al, tell us a little bit more about Clarity Digital Agency, what you guys do, what kind of services you provide, and how people reach out to you.
Thank you. Sure. So Clarity Digital is what I like to call an accidental digital marketing agency. I was always working in-house or as a contractor for other clients, and maybe had a side client. And then I think around COVID, things changed, and we ended up having a lot of clients that wanted different things. And then I had to contact my former colleagues who was a social media expert, content writer, so forth. I'm like, hey, you want to work together? I have all this work. I can't do it all. And then that's when Clarity Digital was born. I think we are about 5 years in. We are a very agile, remote digital marketing agency with most of our staff being here in the US. We hardly use anybody overseas because we believe in, the cultural barriers that could prevent you from a marketing campaign. Marketing is very cultural dependent. You got to be strategic. We also believe in partnerships with our clients. We want to be an extension of their team. So that's who we are. We are a digital marketing agency. Our focus is really on SEO, SEM, digital, paid media, whether it's paid social or paid search. And e-commerce has been one of our core expertise, because that's how I got into SEO and SEM 20 years ago when I installed my first shopping cart, Xcart, and
Sure.
I've been doing e-commerce, SEO, and marketing since then.
Excellent. And give everybody the website so they can reach out to you. Just let them know so those that are hearing or listening. Sorry.
Sure, claritydigital.agency. Or you can look, you can search my name, Al Sefati, and that website should come up. But our URL to our agency is claritydigital.agency.
Perfect. Lots of great information. We could probably go on another half hour easily.
Yes.
But what we're going to have to do is we'll get Al back on the show here maybe in another few months, and we'll go over another topic, because lots of great stuff. You're bringing great information that people need to know about, especially when it comes to AI search. It's such a hot.
I'm going to steal him for the AI podcast next time. He'll be on Agent of Commerce.
Absolutely. You should do that. So, Al, thank you for being on. We really appreciate it. Great content, great information. Those who are interested in a little bit more, or maybe a tool, go back about 2 episodes from this one. We did a whole thing about GEO when it comes to LLMs using GEO, which is the replacement, not really replacement, but an additive to SEO. So if you're familiar with SEO, check out GEO. We did that just a couple episodes ago, and super good information on that along with the tool. Al, thank you again for being on Ecommerce Revamped, and we'll see everybody on the next episode. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to E-commerce Revamped. Ready to take your e-commerce business to the next level? Visit Niva.com for the tools to build seamless online stores and unforgettable customer experiences. Until next time, keep your carts full and your customers happy.